All right, so take a deep breath, close your eyes, or leave them open if you prefer, and go straight into your superpower state. However you normally do that. So by repeating your word or phrase, using an anchor, or by imagining hugging something or someone you love. Very good. And now feel your heart opening. Feel that expansion in your heart. And allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. And now think of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body and love each one just for existing. Fill each of those cells with that same light, that energy, that love, loving each little cell. Very, very good. And now allow that light or energy to fill the little you, yourself as a child. From the tips of their toes to the top of their head and out to their fingertips. Fill that little you with that same light, that energy. Loving that child just for existing. Good job. And now allow that light or energy to overflow from that little you and fill your whole childhood, no matter what. Shining that light into any darkness. Allowing that child, that little you, to use their own power. Very good. And now allow that light or energy to overflow from you and fill everyone in the group today with that same light, that energy, that love. Loving each one just for existing. Very, very good. Good job. All right, you can open your eyes if you have them closed. All right, so welcome back, everyone. It's lovely to see you all. Just checking the chat. Thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you very much. And all right, so let's check in with each person, find out how you're doing, and then collect some targets, and then we'll move from there. So Katrina, how are you today?
Oh, Odille, yes. I'm about to fall asleep after that beautiful meditation. But right, I'm going to run with this really, really quickly. So I'm feeling intrigued by a memory I have uncovered, and may I share, Odille?
Of course.
Okay, so was going out for a special evening, so I bought a new Next trouser suit, and it was beautiful. So I felt good, I looked good, I felt proud of myself, I felt like a lady, I was looking for his praise and approval, and this is what I got instead from him. When he sees me, I see his disapproval, he deflates me, disempowers me, disapproves of me, and he does not treat me like a lady and show me love and respect. Oh. Instead, he says, go and change your outfit or I will go out without you. I didn't change and he went out without me. I was left feeling shocked, annoyed, angry, upset, tears, all in one breath. I could not believe that he did this to his wife. It was never spoken about again until now. So is there a gift somewhere in all of this for me and hopefully for everyone else?
Very good, Katrina. Excellent. Now, of course, everything we experience is based on references from childhood, and the way we experience it and then respond is determined by those references. So, for example, a different person with different references, someone, or if you had different references, when he disapproved, you wouldn't have recognized that as disapproval. You would have thought perhaps, there's something wrong with him. Maybe he's not happy, or maybe there's something in his eye, or who knows, he may have a headache. You wouldn't recognize that. And when he said, if you, go and change, or I'm going out without you, the way you felt about that would be based on the references you have, and it would have informed however you responded and reacted to that. Now, you change the references and the way you feel changes, which means the way you respond, your actions, your decisions, and the way you speak changes. So, and there is no right or wrong. It's just about, those references. So I'm going to give you the steps. So first of all, let's look at how you felt when you were expecting, you were feeling good and he was disapproving. So how do you know he was disapproving, first of all?
I'm in competition with this traffic and I can't hear you.
Okay, that's all right. How do you know he was?
How did I feel?
No, how do you know he was disapproving?
Because he just instantly told me to go and get changed. What are you doing? Just go and it was just so it was the most beautiful suit ever, and yet he wanted me in a skirt and he wanted me to be more whatever. Okay. I was more dressed like the office and felt super comfortable and super confident, and other stuff it doesn't flow with me,
Okay, so the dismissiveness, how did that feel? How did that feel when he was dismissive? What does that mean to you?
He dismissed me. Well, maybe he didn't dismiss me. I can't get anything, but he bloody well did. But anyway.
So how did you feel? So you say he was dismissive and then he went out without you. What were the emotions there that you felt inside yourself?
I just felt shocked. I couldn't believe that I was all dressed up, all the makeup on. I made a super effort to go out for a nice evening. Mm-hmm. So inside, I was shocked that he'd done it. I was annoyed. I was upset. I was crying. I was whatever.
So
but he paved the way, but I was left with myself with all this stuff,
Right. So the shock, that feeling of shock, what's your earliest memory in your childhood of feeling shock?
I know we talked about this yesterday, but remember the shock.
You got one?
Yeah. Back to boarding school, a very good friend of the family, a young girl, I think she was only 22, she was a lot older than us at the time, but we got news that she died. Mm-hmm. And it was like she was in exceedingly good health. It was a fluke accident.
Right.
So that's just popped up.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So make a note of that one. So that's one to change. And what did is it about how old were you there?
Probably, I would say 12, 13.
Okay. And what was your reaction when you heard she died? What went on there for you emotionally and thoughts?
I went into complete hysterics. I broke down and I was put away in, sort of a top dormitory out of the, so if I was a space cadet, he was sort of put away to get her to, settle down. So I was very much on my own.
Exactly like you were in this most recent experience. You were left alone. He went out without you.
Yes.
So that's part of it. And then what was the trigger for you? So you heard that she died, but what was the problem with it? What was the worst thing about it? What was the thing that bothered you most, that gave you that reaction?
I couldn't believe it. I kept saying that. I couldn't believe what he'd done, and I couldn't believe that she was dead. There's just this thing about can't believing.
There you go. Very good. So that's one. Now, so what you're aiming for, of course, is to change that, to change it to the opposite, positive, empowering. So you hear that the stepping stone is that you hear that she died, but you go into a state of unconditional love, and you know that she's with you anyway, and everything's going to be okay. Everything's all right. You can still feel the love and connection with her, and so on. In fact, before that, first stepping stone, this is important. First stepping stone is you react the way you reacted, but instead of putting you away, they are compassionate and kind and comfort you and reassure you. And that helps you to calm down. Okay, that's very important to do that first stepping stone. All right, because that's a piece of data on its own. So there's that stepping stone. Then the next stepping stone is you hear it and you don't react that way because you're calm. It's not that, it's a surprise. Of course, it's a surprise and it's not nice, but it's not that shock. That's the second stepping stone. And then the final memory, of course, is that she didn't die. So the final memory is you get different news. Perhaps you get news that she's just, won some sort of competition, or that she has, she's invited you to come and stay. Whatever would make that memory wonderful and fun. Or she turns up at boarding school to surprise you and take you out for the day.
Wow.
All right. But do those first two stepping stones first, because those are pieces of data on their own. Now, before you do that, so you've got that memory written down, you'll remember to do that. Now, where earlier did you feel shock? So before 11 or 12 years old.
No, it's not coming.
That's okay. If it doesn't, that's all right. So if you don't have any earlier memories of shock, then just do this one. And while you're working on this one, you may find others pop up, and then just do them.
Wow. I didn't think there was anything here, to be honest with you.
Yes. So this is a great example. So thank you for this, Katrina, because it's a fantastic example of how when we think, oh, I can't think of anything, there isn't anything. Everything is in the subconscious, and we can't, we just don't have the ability to remember everything consciously anyway. So just because we can't think of it doesn't mean it's not there. And then as you start working on one thing, or as those neural networks start firing, the ones connected to them sometimes then start firing, and you become consciously aware, or you suddenly remember something you'd forgotten about.
Odille, I think this may be a good time to retell that story of the man that you worked with who had a phobia of bananas.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, yeah, I didn't actually work with him. He wasn't someone I worked with. This was somebody I knew from a long, long time ago. And he was in his 60s. He was a very successful businessman, millionaire, terrified of bananas. And no one knew why. He didn't know why. So he would see a banana and he would go into that fight, freeze, flight state, well, the fear state. His palms would get sweaty and he'd get terrified. Now, he knew consciously the banana wouldn't hurt him, but his subconscious was triggering that response anyway. And nobody knew what it was, but my sister pointed out at the time that it could have been something like when he was a baby, perhaps he was either eating a banana or staring at a banana and a door suddenly slammed, or something else dramatic happened and his brain made a connection between bananas, which is where his focus was, and and danger. So that's I'm not sure though, Steve, what's the connection there? What I don't know. I don't think I've made the point that you wanted to make.
Well, the point is that sometimes those connections are made and we have no idea what those connections are. We're looking for, I noticed that there's a question in the chat, and it's like sometimes we're trying to find those old references, those old childhood memories, and we're having difficulty bringing them up. Right. And I know that the story that you've
I've got another one that'll describe that better.
And maybe we're thinking of the same one, but so finding those early childhood memories, sometimes we can't, and the point is, if we can't find them, we just create new ones.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. And so there's a message in the chat that is relevant to this, and I can answer it with an experience. So it says, how do you deal with memories you know are there, but you have trouble pulling them or it up? You have a sense of heaviness and a gut feeling, whatever is there is not good. I guess I should just create a positive and empowering memory despite not really knowing what is there. I will make one up with a positive and empowering one despite not really knowing what was there. Okay, so that's a great question. Thank you so much for asking it, because this will apply to a lot of people. And I've had a couple of those. So first of all, you can just create a positive one and see what comes up. But with this case where you've got something, you've got a heaviness and a gut feeling that whatever is there is not good, that's then what you want to address. So notice the gut feeling, the heaviness, notice how you know that's there. Perhaps you feel it in your body, or you just know it in your mind, whatever that is. And then just very briefly, and then go into the superpower state, bring up that love, that unconditional love, and so on, and then press pause on that. Notice if the heaviness or the gut feeling or whatever has changed. It may be more, it may be less, it may be the same. Just notice what it is. Back to the superpower. Keep doing that until this changes in some way. So it may get more, it may get less. You may suddenly then remember something else. You may remember a sound, or you may have a visual, or you may remember some details. Keep doing that until you can't feel the heaviness or that gut feeling. You can't feel any negative emotions anymore, and then create a new memory. Of course, if you've had a memory come up while you're doing that, then change that one to the opposite, positive, empowering. So I'll give you an example of my own. I had suspected that I was possibly abused, sexually abused, but I did not have any memories of it. I still have no idea whether I was or not, but I had a kind of weird kind of background possibility knowing. And all I did have, when I thought about it, I thought, how do I know? And I thought, I don't know how I know, but there was one moment in my life that kept coming up, and all it was me standing by a window. We were in a double-story house when I was, I don't know how old I was, maybe 5 or 6, and there was a window. So somebody else lived up there. We had a lodger, a man, single man. No, was he? I can't remember. Anyway, he used to live up there, and I don't remember much about him at all or anything, except for one. I remember him commenting on my eyes and saying I have beautiful eyes, hazel eyes. And that was the reason I remember that is because that's the first time I realized I heard the word hazel and knew I had hazel eyes. That was a new thing for me. And so then there was the separate memory of me standing by the window, looking down on the driveway, and the feeling of wishing I was down there. Nothing else. I have no idea what I was doing up there or what happened, if anything happened or anything like that. So all I did was I noticed that feeling, and then I did the back and forth and brought those emotions down so that I no longer felt the feeling of wishing I was down there. I just felt nothing. I was just looking out the window. And then I created that memory to be a library. So it's a library full of books. I loved reading as a child. So that room now, I'm by the window, but I'm sitting on the windowsill, and it's like a one of those picture, I don't know what you call it, but those windows that go out. And I'm sitting there looking down at the driveway, and I'm reading a book. And I feel happy, and I love the library, the little library up there with all the books. So that's how I changed that memory. I still don't know if or what was there, but it doesn't matter, because now there's that new reference. So I hope that helps to give you an idea of how to address something that you don't know if there's something there, or you don't know what that thing is. All right. So thank you, Katrina. I'm sorry, I I went off on a tangent there. So is there, does that help at all, what we just did?
Yeah.
Great. And do you have any?
I can't
Sorry?
see you. Can you see me? I can't see you.
No, we can't see you. I'm going to ask you to start video to give you, you should get a pop-up there.
Oh, yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah, okay. Yes, sorry.
That's all
I'm
right.
here. No, yeah.
Good. And so was there anything else you wanted to say or ask or target or anything like that?
No, and that what do you call it? I'm deflated. I think I used that word. Did I use that word? Disempowered, deflated?
I don't think so, but you did now. So, okay, so deflated, and what does that mean? In what way are you deflated?
Deflated is that all the power is out of me. You know.
Okay, all right. So now you've got a route to follow to change the memories, to change references for that. Then once you change that memory, the boarding school one of your cousin, you change it to the opposite, positive, empowering. So you do this 2 stepping stones, and then the final memory is she turns up to surprise you. So you're turning the shock into surprise, into a good surprise.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's so the shock connected with your cousin is now a wonderful surprise connected with your cousin, where she turns up and she takes you out for the day, and all the other kids are jealous. They go, oh, you're so lucky. I wish I could go. And you go somewhere wonderful, wherever you, and remember that your subconscious can't use logic or reason and can't judge anything as unrealistic. So you could go to the beach, you could go to a fun fair, whatever that little you would have, whatever that 11 or 12-year-old you would have loved to have done. All right?
Yes. Sorry, but what do I do with him?
Getting to that. So once you've done that, so that's your first step is always changing the childhood. And if earlier memories come up of shock, of course, change those too. Once you've done that and you've practiced that new memory 3 times in a row, and you're going to practice it then ongoing until it's established. After you've changed it and you've practiced it 3 times in a row, then check this memory of this person. And think about what, remember it and think what happened, and see if you're able to change, to bring down those emotions, again, by going back and forth. If you can't, for some reason, it means there's still more references. So then you go back and look for the rest of those roots. But if you can bring those references down, then change them to the opposite, positive and empowering.
Okay.
Okay. So,
yeah, because as I read it
there's going to be more. I suspect there's going to be more than that one reference.
No, you don't.
It's okay. You know what to do, and you can see how quick it can be.
Okay.
All right. So, and it's important to know that, there may be more, and that's okay, because if you don't know that there may be more, or you think I'm going to change this one and everything's going to change, and then if it doesn't, then that can be, that can make a person despondent. And doubt the process, but that's not the case. It's like, doing 1 or 2 push-ups is not necessarily going to make you strong. Sometimes you need to do a few more.
Yes, like a few thousand more.
And so remember as well, for everybody, remember to get into your superpower state first before you start addressing those memories. so that you top up your strength. And of course, we'll be doing it during today's session. You'll be getting into that state. So, topping up your power. All right.
Okay, brilliant, as usual. Thank you, Odille.
You're very welcome, Katrina. And thank you so much for sharing, because I know that will help others as well.
Oh,
good job, you. All right. And on to Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Hi there. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. And you?
Oh, good. Everyone's doing such a superb job, and I'm learning so much as usual. And it's really interesting to see after you do this, things do come up, and you can totally flip the memories and change them as soon as you acknowledge it. And then if something doesn't come up, it will. You have to just be patient, but just keep the practice. I keep a notebook where if something does come up, I'll just send it love, and it seems to heal just easy. You just got to keep it up, the momentum. I love the pirate in the group. She looks cute. So I think it's funny she's wearing a hat, because I've been watching Peter Pan with my son, like the cartoons. So I think that's funny. And then when I go on walks or I'm in the garden, I see heart-shaped leaves everywhere. So I think that's really cool.
Yes, indeed.
So it keeps me reminded, even in my garden,
Yes.
I'm trying to think of what else I could say. I've been seeing all of us in our unconditional love state as children, and where I changed my programming. So I think that's really cool. Like, we have our own little kingdom, and we're doing all the things and being really happy, and just seeing everybody in a positive state. So that's what basically, and I keep reading your books and stuff. So
fantastic.
It keeps me very motivated. So I'm so happy.
Yay. I'm so happy for you, Lisa. And thank you so much for contributing so much to this group.
Thank you.
Very much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right. And do you have any targets for today, or?
I always like to pray for the whole planet getting financially settled, because it's seems a little wonky for a lot of people still.
Right.
But, I just like to send them loving light. And I notice people around me have been having tremendous improvements financially.
Good.
So I noticed that. So, the energy is going.
Great. Good job, you. Very good. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
All right. And then on to Swasti. Hi, Swasti. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Do you have
Yeah. So I just had a question.
Yeah.
About the superpower exercise. Sorry, I wrote it down. I'm finding it.
That's all right.
I can't. So if I imagine a room, like somebody in a room, I can't send. I don't know how to go about sending the unconditional love to them.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you a visual a couple of options for visuals that will help, because I know you said you are visual, so that will help. So first of all, you feel yourself, of course, with that power, and then when you think of the person in the room, imagine there's a light coming out from your chest like this, or you can do it from your hands, but from your heart is I think stronger. Imagine that light, that energy, that power coming out from your heart and filling that person from their toes, so you can see the white light filling them from their toes all the way to the top of their head. And then imagine it being so much light and so much energy that it overflows from them, and it just keeps coming, and it fills the whole room they're in. Now you can do that, or you can imagine a shower of light. A shower of light or energy. So different people have different ways of doing it. You can also use like a water gun kind of thing. Imagine it's a water gun filled with that unconditional love, but it's coming from you, and it's filling the gun, and then it's coming out. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah. So I imagine it as as a fog coming out of my heart. So like a perfume, like a perfume spray gun kind of thing.
Good. Yeah, that's good.
So, but I can't seem to feel the people. It's just like a glowing outline.
Okay, very good. So what stops you from feeling the people? What happens in your mind or emotionally when you think of filling them with that light?
I can imagine their clothes. I imagine their clothes and then their outline of
Okay.
white, like a white glow.
All right. So that may be fine. That may be fine. But let's find out what happens when you think of the skeleton. Can you feel this? Can you imagine the skeleton being filled with that light, that energy?
Yeah, because it's white.
There you go. So fill their skeleton with it, and then it automatically fills the rest of them.
Oh, I'll fill their skeleton. Oh, okay.
Or the other option is if you imagine their heart, they've got the same light you have. And so your heart is sending light to their heart.
Okay.
So those lights are then making an even brighter light.
Ah, yeah, that will help.
Good.
The skeleton thing is really good.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome, sweetheart.
I don't know if this will take long, but how can you use the superpower and changing memories and references for a physical thing? So like hair loss or something physical in your body?
Okay, so good question. So one of the things is when you fill yourself with that power, that energy, send it to whatever part of the body is having a problem. So if it's hair loss, send it to your scalp, your hair, but very importantly, remember that you're sending unconditional love. So whether it continues to, you continue to lose hair, or it stays there, or it gets better, or it gets worse, you got to love it all anyway. So that's of course, the challenge, but it's also where the power is. So you fill that part of your body with that same light or energy. So that's that part. Then the second part of it is asking yourself, what's the problem with it? So let's say my hair's falling out. Why is that an issue? What's the worst thing about it? What am I worried about? Or why is it a problem? So
I was just scared of going bald, completely bald.
Scared of going bald, yes.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with being bald?
Well, it's a society thing of you're a girl, you need hair on your head.
Right, okay. All right. So when you think of going bald, what are the emotions there?
Lack of confidence.
Okay.
Feeling like criticized if you walk in the streets. Not feeling like you belong there anymore.
Yes, good job. Okay, so that feeling of being criticized, feeling like you don't belong there anymore, where in your childhood did you have those feelings? And it may have nothing to do with hair.
Okay.
And then change those memories to the opposite, positive, empowering, so that you do belong and people love you regardless, and all of that. Okay. Now, in addition to that, just a little bit of conscious reassurance that whenever we are stressed, hair loss is one of the things that happens.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you'll go bald. It just, that's like your heart rate increases and your cells shut down and go into protection mode, and blood is redirected away from your organs to your extremities for running away and fighting. And sometimes your hair, you have more. We all have hair loss all the time because, hair is constantly being renewed, but it's more prevalent when you're stressed. So as you bring those stress chemicals down and you change the references, of course, and all of that, it'll come down. The frequency and the amount of it will reduce.
Thank you. The help with the memories yesterday about the punishments, I changed my mum's one as well. So my mum has a habit of shouting for no reason. That gets me stressed. I changed those, and today, before this ESC session, I was feeling okay. I'm not stressed like I'm going to be late.
Fantastic. Well done, Swasti. So that was a really good one.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good job.
I use those two memories to represent corporal punishment and being shouted at, spoken to crossly.
Good job. Thank you for sharing that. That's always so lovely to hear. Thank you. And then the other thing for everybody as well, things like shouting, like overhearing parents arguing or somebody shouting at you, one of the things you can do is change all of those memories to they were singing or they were laughing. So that's a way of changing. I know I did that with arguments because there were a lot of arguments in my, always hearing the adults arguing, and now they're all singing and laughing. So so that's, I remember that reminded me to share that. So thank you, Swasti.
Thank you.
Good job, sweetheart. Steve, will you add the hair loss thing to the targets? Thank you. All right. And Pirate Chris. Hello. I love your hat. That is just gorgeous.
Oh, well, we've had such nice things going on, haven't we? So I thought I'd just keep it going for a little while.
Good.
Well, it happened to be in the cupboard. I got the dressing up box, so.
Fantastic. I love it. And it suits you. It looks really good.
There we go. Right. So in this pirate capacity, lovely. It's all good. Everything is good and getting better.
Good.
Something, I don't want to take up time, but it's just a funny thing that a phenomena that I've been aware of the last about a year, couple of years maybe. But my daughter actually touched on it today, and if it's within my personal life, decision making. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if I take a long time over thinking through a decision, a major decision, and then I come to the point and think, I've decided, fine, now I know what I'm doing, and then I do the exact opposite.
Okay. And what's wrong with that?
No, I like it. Because it tells, okay. I understand it. I think, so I've just made that decision, and it frees me up now to do exactly right. And I quite like it.
Very good.
Yeah, she found it, and of course that's her business. She found it a bit of a struggle.
Okay, fair enough.
It does impact on others, but that's not the point. Right. This is about my life. Yes, the actual discovery of it, I found very enriching and quite empowering. Good. Nevertheless, I'm going to go off and have another look at it in terms of. I'll start with unconditional love.
Good.
Lovely anyway. And explore it. And,
very good. Yes. So take a look at because there's nothing wrong with it, but take a look at what you want is that it is what you choose, and not that it's another program.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that, because if it is another program, then you're still at the mercy of something else. So you want to be able to make a decision to do what you want to do out of strategy rather than out of automated programming.
Yeah, thank you.
Good. Exactly. You're very welcome. And thank you for bringing the pirate hat. It's lovely.
Thank you.
All right. So that's everybody who's on camera. So let's check the chat. So Steve, you got the targets that are there. Fantastic from the chat. Yeah. Talk amongst yourselves while I just read through. Just feel when I try and do this as work, it feels hard. So I just leave it in my mind. Okay. I'm not quite sure. Chris, did you want to add something to that?
Oh, sorry, I meant to answer privately to Katrina, but not that it's...
Oh, okay.
But it just... Yeah, I mean, you answer that, because you must hear what you say.
Okay, all right. So, so what was it answering?
The question of Katrina's that you read out, how she's finding changing memories. It's easy. It's so easy when we're together in this context. I think that's what she was asking.
Oh,
is that right? Is it from Katrina?
No, I hadn't seen that. Oh, well, maybe I'll come to it. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So If it feels like work, yes. So it should absolutely not feel like work. So it should feel empowering, positive, fun, exciting. So, and using the superpower, being in the superpower state more and more will help you to feel that. Oh yes, and so Chris continues, go for a walk or do the washing up, and within 24 to 48 hours, stuff starts popping up even quicker often. Yes, thank you, Chris. So I got it now. So it's about the thing of when you can't find a memory. So then go and do something else and it'll pop up. I get what you're saying. Yes, thank you, Chris. And then let's have a look. So that's good. That helped. I'm glad to hear that. And great question, Kathy. Good. Thanks, Katrina. Love the heart-to-heart association, Odille, and great share. Swasti, very good. Great stuff, Swasti. Superb job, everybody. And you inspired me with replacing arguments with singing. Good. Maybe I can replace threatening silence to singing too. Absolutely. Yes, indeed. And so remember also, you can add things like costumes and props and special effects. There's no limit to it inside your mind. You can do whatever you like, make it fun. All right, so let's go into the aiming. So Steve, if you could send the targets, that'd be great. Thank you. All right, so take a deep breath and go into your superpower state, however you do that. By repeating your word or phrase, or using your anchor, or imagining hugging your subject. Feel that feeling of your superpower state. Feel your heart opening and expanding. That light or energy shining out from your heart. Very good. And now imagine that light or energy spreading down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Very, very good. And now allow that light or energy to fill all the cells of your body with that same light, that energy. Love each cell just for existing. And now fill your subject with that same light or energy. Love them just for existing. And now imagine they don't want to be with you, or they're rejecting you in some way, or they're miserable, and keep that light or energy going. Keep them filled with that same light or energy. Love them anyway, no matter what. Good job. All right. So now let's go over to Lisa. Fill Lisa with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Lisa just for existing. Very good. And now allow that light or energy to overflow from Lisa and fill the finances of the entire planet. All of everything to do with finances and money, fill it all with that light, that energy, that love, no matter what. Shining that light into any darkness. Loving it all anyway. Very good. And now over to Swasti. Fill Swasti with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Swasti just for existing. Very good. And now to the hair loss, whatever that is, whatever it means, wherever it comes from, love it all anyway. Fill whatever that is, any references, the Swasti's scalp and her hair and everything to do with it, fill it all with that light, that energy, shining the light into any darkness and loving it all anyway, exactly as it is. Very good. And now over to Katrina. Fill Katrina with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Katrina just for existing. Now that feeling, that deflated feeling, fill that with that same light, that energy. Even if Katrina continues to feel deflated, or the deflation goes and she feels inflated, however she feels, no matter what, love it all anyway, and love Katrina exactly as she is. And now allow that light or energy to fill the 11 or 12-year-old Katrina in boarding school, and everything to do with that experience, fill it all with that light, that energy, that love, shining that light into any darkness. Good job. And now allow that light or energy to overflow from Katrina and fill her partner with that same light, that energy, from the tips of his toes to the top of his head and out to his fingertips, even if he never changes, shining that light into any darkness. Love it all anyway, exactly as it is. Good job. And now on to Chris. Fill Chris with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Chris just for existing. And now allow that light or energy to overflow from Chris and fill all decision making, no matter what. Whatever decision Chris makes or doesn't make or switches decisions, love it all anyway, exactly as it is. Very, very good. And now to Cheryl. Fill Cheryl with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Cheryl just for existing. Good job. And now allow that light or energy to overflow from Cheryl and fill her son, from the tips of his toes to the top of his head and out to his fingertips. Love Cheryl's son just for existing. And whether he grieves the loss of his dad or not, whether the grief stays or it goes, love it all anyway, exactly as it is. Love him anyway, exactly as he is. And now allowing that light or energy to fill Cheryl's grief. Fill that with light and energy. Love it all anyway, shining that light into the darkness. And now imagine that light or energy overflowing from Cheryl and her son and filling her son's dad with that same light, that energy, that love, loving him exactly as he is, strengthening that connection, that love that transcends all reality, all physical reality. Good job. And now let's fill everyone who's on the call today, who's off camera. Fill all of them with that same light, that energy, from the tips of their toes to the top of their head and out to their fingertips. Love each one just for existing. Very, very good. Good job. And now to everyone watching the recording, fill all of them with that same light, that energy, that love. Love them just for existing. And now think of yourself later today. Whatever you'll be doing, whatever you'll be experiencing, however you'll be feeling, fill that version of you with that same light, that energy, from the tips of your toes to the top of your head and out to your fingertips. Love that version of you just for existing, no matter what, shining that light into any darkness and feeling that power getting stronger. And expanding your power to fill the room you're in. And opening your heart further to receive the love, the light, the energy from everyone else in this group, including me. Loving you exactly as you are, no matter what. Pure, truly unconditional love. Very, very good. All right, you can open your eyes if you have them closed. How's everyone feeling? Any questions or comments before we go? Good. Oh, yes, and remind about the workshop. So if you would like more help with finding and changing childhood memories, negative childhood memories, we have our workshop this Saturday. And it's so from 9:30 the room will be open to chat and meet up if you want to just meet and greet sort of thing. And then 10 o'clock we start. We'll be going through in much more depth the childhood memory part of what we do. And there's a workbook which you can fill in digitally, and we will we take 12:30 to 1 offline for lunch. We have a nutritionist who will do her presentation after lunch and addressing cravings and emotions to do with food. And then in the afternoon, you'll put into practice what you learned in the morning by actually finding and changing those childhood memories intensively, so that you get a huge amount done in the afternoon, along with breakout rooms. So if you've got something private, you've got some trauma, or you get stuck, you'll have a private breakout room with one of us, and you don't have to share anything. So you don't have to share any details. If you don't want to share within the group, you don't have to. We'll do no content with you. All right. So, and the link for that is on the resources page. And Lisa says, very good, thank you. I noticed the love state superpower has become way stronger. Good, very good. Fabulous session. Thanks, everyone. You're very welcome, sweetheart. And oh, yes, you can. Swasti has something to ask. Yes, Swasti.
I just had kind of like a suggestion, I guess. But are you on Instagram?
Am I on Instagram?
No, you have the Remmert Method?
Oh, yes. Yes, we do. Yes, we're not very active because I'm not very good at Instagram. I'm better at Facebook. But yes, we are on Instagram.
Because I know that some of my friends, they would be shy to like talk about who they're following or whatever. But let's say I followed it, then it would come up on their feed. And then if you like put your YouTube videos on there, or say we have a YouTube channel, it would just help with that. subscribers, I guess.
Oh, thank you. That's a great idea. Thank you very much, Swasti. We really do appreciate that, because Instagram is a big mystery to me. So I appreciate that.
It's Facebook to me, but
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. And yes, for everybody, you know, the more you're able to share what we do and these videos and everything, the better. We, you know, our mission is to reach as many people as possible to let them know this exists, and then they have a choice at least. But if they don't know about it, then they don't have a choice. So please do share our stuff as much as you can. If you'd like to, that we'd really appreciate it. All righty then. Have a fantastic rest of your day and tomorrow. And I mean, tomorrow before we see you. And we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. And lots of love to all of you. Bye.